call of Kilforth has landed. Let's take a look. Welcome back to the Meeple Marathon. Today we're going to be taking a look at Call of Kilforth by Tristan Hall and Hall or Nothing Productions. This is the third game in the Kilforth Trilogy, so unfortunately it sounds like this might be the last one we see, but this is a card-based game that's all about exploration and leveling up your character. So we're going to take a look at the game obviously here in just a second, but before that, let's take a look at the playmat. Now, I do want to point out, and I did not even realize this, I don't think so, that this playmat is double-sided. So here's the original playmat for the original game, Gloom of Kilforth. Has a nice spot for everything. I thought I was just getting the Call for Kilforth side, so this is fun too. In case you're not playing, if you're playing Shadows or Gloom, there you go. But this is the side that I really wanted. I think it's a really nice backdrop for your game. I have been wanting one of these for a while, and basically just waited for the Kickstarter. So there you go. It gives you space to put all your cards. And then if you have the Deluxe Upgrades, it's going to give you, which is going to give you bigger cards. You can see those will fit in here as well. So also gives you space between them. So when you're stacking a card on top of a location card, it doesn't cover up the card next to you. So games like this where you're playing on a grid, it's really nice in my opinion to have something to keep it all nice and tidy. So there is the playmat. Now let's get the plastic off this sucker and take a look at it. All right, here we go. Let's get the box lid off here. We have our Hall or Nothing catalog. So there's the original Gloom, Shadows, Call. Then we have the Veil Wraith. They just finished up with the follow-up to this one, Creole Manor. And then the Hebs system, Historic Epic Battle System, 1815 being the most recent one. I've really gotten into these. It's just such a clean system. Anyways, so here we have a standard rule book. And if you are familiar with the Kilforth line, this should be very familiar to you. You should be able to jump right in to the game, no problem. They did add a few things, but those aren't going to be very difficult. So there's resources. There's food, wood, stone, and metal. Basically each starting out on the, like the ocean has the fish, the food. And oceans replace badlands. So there's still only 4 location types, and they've just replaced badlands with oceans. Mountains get the metal, plains get the stone, and forests get the wood. And just some of the cards in the game will use the resources once you have gathered them, so that's a new action. Then there's the whole sailing mechanic, which I believe, if I remember correctly, yes, is back at the back here. So this is for advanced play, but you can actually get these ship tokens out, which we'll see here in a minute, and then do various things with your galleon, with your ship. So, you can, as a deed action, so deed actions are free. You can sail, you can add new parts, you can sink a ship, you can endeavor. Then you can also take actual actions, use your action points to load cannons, repair, gather, just like you would normally. And then there's opposing ships out there as well. So you can trade with friendly ships. You can just pass through spaces with neutral ships, and you always have to fight rival ships. So that is a very high-level overview. But other than those two things, there being resources now and the ships, this is the same old beautiful Kilforth game, which, again, I think is such a clean system. All right, so there's one thing I want to check here because I remember commenting on one particular thing. I want to see if they added it. I don't see it. Maybe he didn't want to make it too easy. I just want to double check and make sure. So there is, it's probably near the beginning here. There's a certain page that, here we go. A certain page, in my opinion, I think you should always have out. And I think that this table and then, this one down here are two of the most important tables in the game. This is just a little tip, but as you are attempting to find the keywords, if you're not familiar with the game, you're essentially journeying around, exploring the area, trying to find specific keywords that fill in your saga, and then you can advance from chapter to chapter in your own personal saga. So you might know, or you might have lawless on your saga card, and that's a keyword you have to go and track down. It's not a specific card you have to get, but there's many cards in the game that have the lawless keyword. But if you know that you need to find a stranger, then you can, I think there's probably another one somewhere where it would tell you, okay, you're mainly going to find strangers in the mountains, things like that. But at least if you're looking for lawless, you're looking for a stranger. So these two tables are very helpful. I had a similar table in Shadows of Kilforth that I highlighted when I did my how to play video of that. So I can link that video to this one if you are wanting to know more how to play. So, all right, enough with the rule book, but nice big, covers a lot here. There's a lot of text here, but this is just a player aid. All right. We have a big gaping hole. I'm going to guess that was the first player token in here somewhere. Looks to be several things. Maybe not. Okay, there's the first hero. It's just a bunch of these things. Okay, so we're going to set those aside here. So here they're small. Smaller than I thought they were going to be. But there's like a ship token, and if you defeat them, you would flip them over and gain the treasure on the back. So let's take a closer look at some of these here, and you can see there's the blue drakes. I don't remember all of the names, I just remember the blue drakes, but they're factions obviously, and then you ally with the faction, and these two here are actually from Shadows of Kilforth, when they first introduced factions. So you can actually play with the ships in Shadows of Kilforth, get your one faction, and then know who is friendly and who is not. Here's the standees. This campaign did introduce miniatures to the game, but to me this is not a miniatures game. This is a card-based adventure game, and so I've always been perfectly happy with the standees. And then we have here, so you're not going to see standees today, unfortunately. I've got enough plastic in my life. Didn't need more. And these are basically going to be a whole bunch of things that if you gain loot and stuff, you'll pull from a bag. There should be a bag in here somewhere. Looks like some more stuff down here. Yeah, there's just a few more ships. These tokens you can use as a variant instead of the knight deck. You can simply just flip over one of these, and it tells you which location in the grid and there's always up to put into knight, as opposed to the card, which gives you a specific location. I honestly don't know what the difference is, because at the end of the day, there's going to be a card or a token for every location in the game. But I guess if you were mixing up locations from, say, Shadows and Call, then you would want to use these. So that definitely makes sense there. All right, we've got some baggies. We have a bag. Okay, I think there might be a bigger bag. Yep. So we're going to get a bigger bag in our Deluxe Upgrades here. We've got some standees, and we've got some pretty nice marble dice. I have no problems with these, but they're going to give us even more dice, because a lot of times you get to the point where you're rolling more than this, and you need to just re-roll. We have a whole bunch of, let's see, here's some even more tokens. Don't want to lose track of those. So the most amount of wooden tokens here in any other Kilforth game. So this is the metal, not a lot of metal. I guess essentially there's enough exactly for each mountain. Fate tokens. What are these for? These are, no, these aren't the food. Interesting. What is, oh, this is gold. Duh. So you got your health, and then you got your action points, which are also heart-shaped because you can only take a number of actions based on how healthy you are. So if you have lost hearts, then you're only going to be able to, you know, at the beginning of your turn, gain that many action points. So here's food, stone, wood. I mean, these are okay. I could definitely see some like Etsy upgrades of these in the future. So yeah, there we go. And then when you're hidden, they made these white now. They used to be green. I used to call them the broccoli token. There you go. And lots of gold. Some dividers, always really nice touch to add. I mean, these aren't labeled or anything. They're not specific dividers, but just the fact that they threw in dividers is really nice in a card game. And then the rest of this is just cards. So let me get this box out of the way, and we will take a look at some of this amazing artwork. Always got to do our little check. Thank you, Ryan Lockett. And yeah, so we have cards for days here. Lots of different types of cards. So let's just start at the beginning. Every character, every player is going to choose a race. These are double-sided, but that's simply because there's a female version on one side and a male version on the other. So this artwork seems a little off to me, like compared to the rest. I don't know what it is about this centaur human. Anyways, this is more what I'm used to right here. So these are all race classes, and some of them obviously are very geared towards the water. Human. So several human classes. Interesting. Humanoid. Oh no. I'm reading the keyword type. So Sylph, Pylorn, Merfolk, Lizardfolk, Leighton, Kiner, Human, Goblinkin, and Centaur. And then you also choose a class. So this is like your type of person you are, and this is your job. So these are only one-sided, but these will add to your statistics and help you just kind of mix up your player here. These ones were definitely more water-based. All right, so you've chosen who you want to play as. If you want to play with a ship, here's your double-sided ship cards. This is basically just, you know, your tokens you can add to here, your cannon tokens, the ship abilities you can take, and then if you take damage, you have to flip it over to the wrecked side. They're all the same. There you go. All right, once you have chosen who you're going to be, we will then choose, where to go? The ancients. So these are the bad guys. These are the big baddies who are going to go up against you, and these guys are always just horrific looking creatures here, but they just kind of sit back in the shadows. You can see they have very high health values. For the most part, they sit back in the shadows for most of the game, and each one of them is going to have one of these cards, and this is going to tell you you know, what you have to do. Like for example here, when an ocean location falls into gloom, place one random plot card there. And then it's got some advanced rules. what happens to HP damage. It all says stays. Yeah, but it just gives you some stuff to cover. But the important thing is this night phase here. So specifically when the night phase happens, and these plot cards are important because this is what's going to mess with you during the game. So there is a plot for each of them, but you can mix them up. But these are going to go out, in this case, for the Minister of Strife, on ocean locations. So every time an ocean location falls into gloom, it's also going to get a plot card. And this gives you, additional stuff to have to deal with. And the more you leave these out, the stronger the ancient is going to be when you try and take them on. So you don't want to just leave these and ignore them. So there's essentially the bad guy that you will take on. You then will be roaming around. Whoops, this is the gloom side. So you always start with Rimshore Port, or whatever the central location for the game you're playing, in the center, and then the rest are mixed up, and randomly placed, except for in this version, you are always going to put the ocean tiles, make sure the ocean tiles are on the outer edge. So there's essentially the Rimshore Port, which is in the middle. There's an inner ring and an outer ring. So if you ever are placing these down and an ocean tile ends up on the inside, you just swap it with the closest inner ring tile to make it on the edge. Because you can, if you're playing with the ships module, you can travel from one ocean to the next. Or I guess you don't even need to play with the ships module. This is basically a shortcut. All oceans are shortcuts to other oceans. But some really nice artwork here, and we're going to see bigger versions of this in the deluxe upgrade, because these are essentially making up the map. A few other just general things. Here is the night deck. This is the kind of bad stuff that happens sometimes. A lot of times it's going to bring out strangers, enemies, add cards that you have to encounter, but the main thing is this location is what falls into gloom. Once a location falls into gloom, it's in gloom. You can still go there, but if you end up there at the end of your turn, you're going to take some damage. And if the entitle, that's a cool card, like a weather card, will just sit off to the side and make things more difficult for you. If every location falls into gloom, then you lose the game. So this is like the timer, essentially. Every time you explore a location, you're going to, if it doesn't already have one, you're going to be flipping over one of these cards. So these can be anything from events to strangers to quests to places. This is where you're getting your keywords from. So you definitely want to go out and explore. Here you can see quest, destroy, and mountain. One of those keywords may be on one of your quests, and you would have to either overcome it, defeat it, whatever it may be. And once you have those, the Tyrannosaur. When I was doing my playtesting for this game, which, by the way, I need to look, I wonder if my name's in the rulebook. I think I came across the Tyrannosaur like right off the bat. It was like one of the first things I came across, and I was instantly dead because I attempted to take it on and thought I was big and bad. So we got some planes, some really fun cards in here. I want you guys to be surprised by some of them, but let's also take a look at the ocean cards, because these are the kind of stuff that has never been seen in a Kilforth game before. So, mermaids, enraged worm, the kraken is another good one, the sea monster, the megalodon, that's another one I ran into in my game. I had some really bad luck playtesting this game. Rescue Party, Ghost Ship, Island Race, Dire Straits, Devil's Compass, The Deep Dive. There, of course, this is essentially the artwork that's on our playmat that I think is really cool, and the City Boat. All right. So, essentially there is a deck of encounter cards for each location type. So let's talk about those quests you would go on. So at the beginning of the game, when you choose your characters, you're also going to choose a saga. They have some recommended sagas, and It's weird how the the company that put the cards together put them like all the chapter 1s and 2s, and then all the chapters 2s, 3s, and 4s, and then all the finales on the back here. But I don't want to spoil them too much, but I'm just going to show you one. And these cards are featured in the rule book, so they're not too spoilery. But so this is chapter 1. You need to find a stranger, you need to find an enemy, and that's just overcome an enemy, not like find one and run away from it. And any card that, this one's easy, that is in the planes. And you can see the little heads over here. Basically, if you're playing solo or 2-player, this is included. If you're playing a larger game, though, with more players, you can play competitively or cooperatively. You're only going to have to find 2 keywords because there's a lot of people running around taking stuff. Once you do that, though, you take a regale action, spend 5 gold, and you flip it over. And then here you would need to find another stranger, an item, and an ocean card. And there's some text here. You can pause it if you want to. I personally prefer to play where instead of it being 5 gold every time, you play 2 times the chapter. So it would be 2 gold, and then it would be 4 gold. So it's a little cheaper at the beginning, but then once it's near the end and you have had time to build up, it's going to be 6 and 8. But here we go. Here is chapter 3. So there's a lot more going on, but then you have to find a single keyword. And then chapter 4, we're back to typical keywords. And then in the end, again, this specific card here is in the rule book, but this would be the finale. So you have to go to a specific location, defeat, in this case, this card, and then when you do, you get the totem, which this one doesn't look like much, but it gives you a stat boost and a skill check. It improves your character essentially. So really love how clean this system is, that you're basically, it's forcing you to explore, but you have some direction and you just go and you track down these cards, and then you advance the chapter. As you're moving along, there's going to be items, there's going to be allies, there's going to be titles that you can win, and spells. So spells are interesting. Well, not interesting, but spells are tricky. Some people don't quite get this, but this book symbol here, there's going to be one on every one. This is the intellect level that you have to have acquired, reached, or surpassed in order to utilize this spell. So some people go after spells really early, but unless you have like Veil Shift or Water Walk, most people haven't built up their character enough to use spells. Then you have things like titles here. Titles generally have a lot of the asterisk keywords, and that just means that you can't have 2 captaincy titles. You could have a merit title and you could have a captaincy title, but you couldn't have both of those. But yeah, these are good to have early on. Stick with you. Allies, of course, are always good to have, and sometimes you can sacrifice them. They can take the damage for you as part of a sacrifice. That's a floating scimitar ally. Okay, a mountaineer, a warden, animal handler, diver, dolphin pod. That would be a cool ally to have. Ferryman, jester. Just the artwork in this game is amazing. Very similar to Ryan Lockett at Red Raven Games. Tristan Hall does all of the game design and all of his own artwork. It's a very different artwork than Red Raven Games, but he is easily up there as top 2, 3 of my favorite artists in the industry right now. And so these are the items. This is generally what I go for. Actually, because at the beginning of the game, you're gonna get to pick 2 cards from one of these stacks and keep one and put the other one back. A lot of times I choose out of here based on my my saga keywords. So all right, that is it for the base box. we're going to dive now. We're going to take the shrink off of Ventures here, and then we'll take a look, a quick look at our deluxe upgrades. So I realized as I was clearing the cards off that I skipped over the only small cards in the game, but these are your upgrades, and they're going to be based on the class. And so each class has one of 4 keywords. For example, the rebels, and these again are mixed up really weird here, but you will look at all of the level 2 upgrades for a rebel and then choose one. So you can just see here, it just basically gives, they don't usually give you stats. You can see there's no little banners along the side, but they are giving you special abilities. Usually they are a deed. Deeds allow you to, a deed is essentially a free action in this game, and veil is Tristan's term for, you know, exhausting the card, tilting it sideways, and only being able to use it once per turn. So there are those. Didn't want anybody to be like, hey, what happened to those? So here are our Ventures cards. These have been called different names, but this is essentially going to add a little bit to a lot of the encounters. Oh, there's more shrink wrap. Shrink wrapped upon shrink wrapped. But this was, I think this was included with the Kickstarter. I know that the Deluxe Upgrades was an add-on, and then you could have, the Playmat was an add-on, and then you could have done the miniatures. But yeah, this basically just adds more content to the game. So pretty easy, simple expansion, but again, it's going to add just a whole lot more of everything here. So we've got our spells, items, and now we're going through all of our locations. So it's not adding any new races, classes, ancients, or anything like that. A fair amount of ocean cards. So let's take a look at these. Ooh, the giant squid. I just watched the Meg 2 the other day. Very cheesy, but kind of have to, I kind of knew what I was getting into when I started the movie, and it lived up to expectations, but don't go in with high expectations. Piranha Swarm, the Motley Crew. Ooh, geez, fancy looking. Ooh, Lonely Cyclops and a Crystal Shard. That guy, this does not look like it happens on the ocean. So let's see what else we got here. Titles can be cool sometimes. The Ship Handler. Ooh, the Spring Bringer. Look at that. Add +1 to your attributes against non-battle encounters. Merit. I wonder what this means. I don't understand. I'll have to look that up. Keel Hauler, Sea Dog Galleon, and the Rosen Sloop. So yeah, I don't like to go through all of these because, you know, it's fun to flip over a card every once in a while and be like, oh my gosh, I've never seen that one. But that is the Ventures, what they're calling it, Ventures now, little small box expansion that basically just adds more encounters. Last but not least, let's see if I can get this open relatively easy, is our Deluxe Upgrades here. This used to be called Pimp My Pimp My Gloom, Pimp My Shadows. They decided to take a more PC approach to naming their upgrades, and now they just call them Deluxe Upgrades. But if nothing else, I feel like these upgrades are worth it for these. Let me go back here and find the locations just so you can see comparative wise how much bigger they are. So this is the standard size and this is the new size. So it doesn't seem that big, right? But if you think about it, all the cards in the standard game are this size, and so an encounter would sit there like this, pretty much covers up everything except the terminology, which is fine. But when you play them here, you actually can like see some of, you know, the artwork hidden behind it. The amazing artwork of the locations is not hidden. It also makes it a lot easier to just see the board in front of you and find locations. So we have seen all of these. I just wanted to show you the size. And I wonder what, well, actually we are going to break into this because I want to see what this one is. It's a card unto itself. Oh, just a single card, but that's fine. It's a cool little artwork card. There you go. You can see them all. And then obviously on the back side, one thing I did and feel like is different and better this time is that it's more obvious which ones are gloom side. They've got this like fog coming in on all the edges. Used to be that the gloom side was just a duller color. And obviously the big -1s were a big giveaway whether something was in gloom or not, but I do like this fog. It's just a nice touch added to everything. Yeah, I'm really curious as to why this little card is there. All right, here you go. You can see we just have more dice. They're pretty much the same. Well, we got nothing but black dice earlier, so now we have the white marble, but just more dice because there's plenty of times where you're going to be rolling more than 6 dice, which is all they give you in the base game. Enough standees so that every standee can just go ahead and place in a standee and not have to come out. Nice touch. A much bigger bag. So where'd my bag go? Boom. This one's fine, you know, but it barely, I don't have very big hands and my hand barely fits in there. So if you're like most people in this world and have bigger hands than me, this is a much nicer size bag. Okay. And then we have our reference guides here, one for each player. So earlier we saw that they were just one given to you. Now, if you're playing a 4-player game, each player can have them, and they're folded, which means they don't take up as much space on the table. I guess you could fold the other one if you wanted to, but just quality of life stuff here. Quality of life. And this is not, you know, there are some deluxe upgrades for a game which costs just as much as the game does. This is not that case. This is a very reasonably priced upgrade pack for a game. So what they've done here is previously we were getting the class. So whatever class you were, that's the standee that you're walking around with. Now, if you would prefer the race, you can play as your race. And last but not least, they have these guys here, the ancients, who, you know, don't move around much. I guess some of them could, but you can just plop one of these down at the location. It says it on the card, but now you can actually give, you know, a physical presence to the ancient. And that's just it, just some more standees. So nothing groundbreaking in these updates, but this right here, it makes this upgrade pack so worth it. Just a lot of really nice stuff that just helps upgrade your game. So that is going to do it for our unboxing of Call of Kilforth. I cannot remember whether or not I have a storage solution video for Shadows or Gloom of Kilforth, but this is a pretty easy one to get back into the box. If you're interested in seeing one, let me know. I'll probably just duplicate what I did for the other two. But certainly we'll do a how to play video. We'll do one that focuses on just the new stuff, which really is, we talked about this, resources and then the ship phase. So if you are a veteran of the Kilforth line, that will be all you would need. And then we'll do a full-on how to play video. If you don't want to wait for that one though, I again do have a how to play video for Shadows of Kilforth. And if you watch that one, you could easily dive into this one without even touching the rulebook, in my humble opinion. But that's going to do it for our unboxing. If you have any questions, please feel free to let me know. And once again, thanks for watching. Have a great day.